Hello! The days are getting shorter, the sun is rising later and is setting down earlier. The number of hours of daylight is diminishing. Let's talk vampires. Hello! Welcome to another episode of Amazing Worlds. And as I said, I'm getting up really early in the morning these days. I must have a guilty conscience, I don't know why. And it's really dark outside. It's about an hour and a half until the sun rises. The house is very quiet, the kids are still sleeping, the wife's sleeping. I'm just sitting here drinking coffee. And it reminded me of a time when vampires were actually scary. Vampires in the original appearance in literature were scary. Sheridan Le Fanu, Bram Stoker. And then for some reason we went through a really weird period. I'm talking Interview with a Vampire and the whole Anne Rice vampire chronicles. I've read a few of them and I had to stop after 3. I couldn't stomach it anymore. Then we had True Blood, the TV show. My wife made me watch that. It was absolutely horrible. It was terrible. There was one redeeming feature from a male perspective. It's an HBO show. You know what I'm not entirely sure what happened there. My camera just went off. I think it ran out of battery or whatever. Start again. So, I was talking about True Blood, the TV show, which I said it was terrible, hideous, no redeeming features, except for, well, from a male perspective, it was an HBO show, so you know what I'm talking about. There was that odd, occasional little bit of HBO titty there, a bit of titties every so often, but that didn't save it, let's be honest, it was absolutely dire. Then we had The Vampire Diaries. I never actually watched that. The look of her didn't look like the vampires I really care for. And then we had the Twilight Saga. Let's not go into that. But let's remember that before that, vampires were actually scary. They were meant to be scary. And luckily, we have some people out there that remember what vampires were actually like. I'm talking about the 30 Days of Night comic by Stephen Niles and Ben Templesmith. Now, the comic was so good that it got turned into a film of moderate success. I watched the movie after I read the comic and I enjoyed it. There's a slight departure from the source material, but that's good, it kept it interesting, it was enjoyable. Now, this is the omnibus edition of 30 Days of Night. There's a second part, but it's not even written by Stephen Niles, so for me I don't feel the need to go there. Some of you may enjoy the story, give it a go and let me know what it's like. But for me, basically, 30 Days of Night tells a complete story. It ends in a very satisfactory manner and I don't feel the need to revisit the idea, because I don't think it can go much further than what Steve and Ben did in the first collection, which is here in its omnibus edition. Now, I had the great fortune of meeting both Ben Templesmith and Stephen Niles, and they both signed my comics. A little bit difficult to see there, but you can see both signatures, and actually Ben Templesmith did a little sketch quick there of a vampire, which I thought was really cool. He was a super cool guy. I met him at a convention, and he was the kind of artist always had time to talk to people, have a chat, discuss his work, and really top-notch guy. So if by any chance of life, Ben, you get to see this, cheers dude, you were great. Now, so the premise of the book I thought was a really clever idea. Basically, traditional vampires, as we all know, can't stand sunlight, kills them. So, if you were a vampire, where would you choose to live? And for those of you whose geography may be a bit sketchy, apparently there is a town like in the northernmost part of Alaska in the US where in winter they don't get to see daylight for 30 days, hence the title 30 Days of Night. Who would have thought? And so basically, in this town is preparing itself for this long night. They're stocking up on supplies. It happens every year. They're used to it, something they deal with. Some people leave the town for that month. Some people stay and they get sort of snowed in and they see the winter through. So a group of vampires decided this is the perfect place to feast and feed. They got a trapped population. They don't have to worry about being exposed to daylight, so they swarm into the town and well, you can guess what happens there. Like I said, I really like the concept. Really good idea. It's perfectly executed. The story is gripping from beginning to end. It ends in a really satisfactory way. I don't want to give anything away because I really recommend reading 30 Days of Night. So it's a slightly thick book here. It's got how many pages? It's got 340 something pages. This omnibus edition, published by IDW, has got a few sort of extra covers at the back, and the artwork is, I found a bit hit and miss. I think it suits the story, but at times it looks great, and at times it's just okay. It reminded me in the style of Dave McKean. Dave McKean, famous for his covers on the John Constantine Hellblazer series and for illustrating the Arkham Asylum story written by Grant Morrison. His art is very convoluted, mixes lots of different styles: photography, collage, actual drawing, and I thought there was an influence there in the artwork in 30 Days of Night, in the sense that there's a lot of diffuminated backgrounds, that's how you say it, diffuminated, diffuse, sort of fades and stuff like that. So you've got like your central character for the vignette, and the background is sort of, sketchy and so on. And I actually, asked Ben when I met him, was Dave McKean an influence here? Turns out my intuition was right. He did admit that it was certainly a source of inspiration, and he felt really pleased that I pointed that out. Or maybe he wasn't, but he liked, or he enjoyed being compared to Dave McKean. Who knows? But the artwork is not neat lines. It's not very precise. The coloring can be a bit blurry at times, but certainly enjoyable. Sometimes, just looking at a page here, the characters can be a little bit out of focus, or almost, dare I say, carelessly drawn, but it lends to the atmosphere that the book is trying to create of a very oppressive, obviously, given the conditions in which the characters live and have to deal with, and the story develops. So interesting artwork, rock solid story, really recommendable. Vampires as you want them, as you really care for them, as you want to see them. None of this sugar-coated, adulterated thing that happened in the beginning of the 21st century. I think at some point we're going to look back in time and think, oh my god, what were we thinking? No. Good read, scary, proper vampires, good artwork, solid plot. Give it a go. Possibly have a look at Volume 2 of 30 Days of Night, if you really like the story and the concept. As I said, for me, not that interested, but please leave a like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.